Hello, dear friends. Wanted to give an update on the ministry in Ukraine and on our fund Compassion for Ukraine. First, let me begin by stating thank you. We are just overwhelmed and very humbled at the gracious gifts, the gifts of grace that you have given, which has allowed us in Ukraine to buy aid. And with the aid, as the aid is going out, the gospel goes out. Just think of your gifts that, yes, you're meeting a physical need for people in the name of Christ, but with that, opportunities to share the gospel of Christ, to see church planting taking place right now in the midst of war, to see evangelistic meetings and opportunities to present Christ to people, and just like no other opportunity before that I've had in Ukraine, seeing God work. Our church plant in Kiev, Living Hope Baptist Church of Kiev, to see God working there in ways that before were just, again, didn't have nearly these numbers coming before. But now to see God working. And those that are coming, Dima Ostrovsky now is there working and serving in the church. And God, he's just an answered prayer. His wife Erica, their little daughter Abigail. And to see what God is doing in him and through him there has been amazing to see. But some of the people that are coming actually told Dima and said, listen, we are sorry. We received invitations, even mentioning my name, from Brother Derek earlier, but we didn't come. We are sorry that we didn't come. And I mean, I've never seen this before at all in my ministry in various, whether it was here in America or in Eastern Europe or especially here in Ukraine. But I just want to thank you for being a part of it. I'm overwhelmed by it. The church in Kiev, this last Sunday, I was there with them. We celebrated a Harvest Sunday. Probably right around 100 were there. The place is packed. We see the gospel going out. Many are lost. There are numbers that are making decisions, have made decisions for Christ. The Lord knows what's happening in hearts. And I just want to thank you for your gifts and for your prayers. Your prayers are so encouraging. And just please continue to pray. Please continue to pray for God's provision, for God to continue. We've got winter coming, and I don't know how some on the eastern side are going to make it through this winter. But pray for God's work and continued hand. Pray for our pastors in Ukraine that are faithfully taking the gospel out. Just pray for them. Pray for believers that are there. I just see God doing a great work in believers, a revival that's happening in the hearts and lives of believers in Ukraine because of this war, and pray for peace in Ukraine. This is an interview I did with Sergey on Sunday right before I left Kiev. I hope it's a blessing and it gives you a feel for what's going on. But my friends, let's continue partnering together for the glory of Christ in Ukraine. Thank you for your prayers and gifts of grace. Well, Sergey, I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about this past week and time we've had together of ministry, and it's been really unique and unlike any other in my life. But I wanted you to share from your perspective as we traveled in Eastern Ukraine and coming back, just what you see God doing and what's happening currently in Ukraine.
Well, it's mixed feelings. I'm thankful for a chance to go and see people in Eastern Ukraine, but it was heartbreaking to see such a need, especially in Izium, arid, was occupied people that have nothing, no gas, no water, no electricity, approximately 17,000 people that have nothing. And we were able to give out food, preach the gospel, and very thankful people.
Amen. Amen. It was amazing as we pulled in there. What did we have? About 200 bags of aid.
Yeah.
And people just started gathering. And one lady just asked if they had a magazine, a store there. And she said there was, but it had very few products and it was very expensive. And for 17,000 people, I mean, that was all that they had. And so you could tell they were especially in need. If you can imagine having no electric, no water, no gas, and some very little of any food, no doctor in the town at all. But what it allowed is when we came, people gathered. We had a large group that gathered. We got to share the hope of Christ, the gospel of Christ. Every bag that went out had a New Testament in it. And God, I think, spoke to hearts and is working. And then for me, also very special was on Thursday when we went north of Kharkiv, Veski, and share a little bit about that and what God is doing there.
Well, this is a new work that one of the brothers has in his heart. They want to plant a church. They have no church in that area, and a huge crowd showed up. I would estimate 1,400 people being there. We gave out about 750 bags for the families, and they all listened very careful to the preaching of the gospel. So from this Saturday, they will start meetings. And I just talked to Andrei, our contact, and he said that the mayor of the town came and said, maybe you would like to use the building. And Andrei said, but we will not give out aid every time. We'll just preach the gospel. Building is yours. So they will have a building for free to use it to start a church. That's a blessing.
Amen. And it was amazing to see that group. That's a large group just for an outdoor meeting. And to hear the gospel, to take New Testaments again, and just to see God's hand and God working, as well as other areas. And name for you, Sergey, what was some of the unique things that you experienced at this trip while preaching the gospel? I know for me there were things that I experienced that I've never experienced before in gospel ministry, but what about for you?
Well, what I have noticed that people that would come to the meetings, I would look in their eyes and they would listen. They would listen really carefully what we were saying. And we had a great response. They would stay after the meeting and they would ask questions. So that was pretty special. But we had some other experience, and I want you to tell.
What those were.
Yeah.
Well, one for me was when we were in Kharkiv region and when we were in Izum, while preaching, there were times you could hear bombs going off in the background. And it was quite unique. And so when you speak here in Ukraine right now about eternity and the need of having peace with your Creator, with God, through Christ, people are listening. And people are responding and receiving. And so though it's a terrible time, God is doing a work here that is beyond what we could ever hope or imagine or think. So we encourage you to continue praying for Ukraine. If God so allows, continue giving for Ukraine as gifts come and we're able to buy more aid and distribute more aid. Each time the aid goes out, just more opportunities to share the gospel. So each 5-ton truck of aid is about $7,000, and we'll feed it's about 500 people for 2 weeks. Is that about what it is?
Yes, even more.
Even more.
We are making smaller bags so we'll feed more people.
So it's just a wonderful opportunity, and we covet your prayers, and if God so allows, we covet your gifts for the glory of Christ in Ukraine. Thank you.
Thank you.